In just hours, all eyes will be on Washington. President Donald Trump will step before a sharply divided Congress to deliver his State of the Union address.
Now, from the economy to national security, what he says tonight could help shape the political battles ahead. And buckle up, the president already signaling it could be a long one.
CBS 12 News correspondent Atra El-Nashar has a preview of the address.
Yeah, but first, let's get over to our Lucie Ortiz. She's at the live desk with more on the special guest who will be in attendance tonight.
Yeah, Liz and Jim, the widow of a fallen Palm Beach County Sheriff's deputy will be in the House chamber this evening, honoring her husband and two fellow deputies on a national stage. Denise Waller, the widow of Deputy Ralph Butch Waller, is attending tonight as a guest to Florida Congressman Brian Mast, who represents parts of Palm Beach and Martin counties. The three deputies, you may remember, were killed in November of 2024 after being struck while on duty on Southern Boulevard in Loxahatchee. Waller says her presence tonight is about honoring their memory and making sure their sacrifices, including their service in presidential motorcades, are never forgotten.
I'm super grateful that somebody took the time to think about law enforcement and remember them in a way that they've never been recognized before. It's a great honor.
I think that's what makes it very special for me, that we can be together and remember her husband and remember his friends and make them continue to live on in the lives of people in our community.
And speaking with CBS 12 News this morning, Congressman Mast said that he hopes the president also highlights some of what he calls are the president's economic wins, talking about tax relief on tips, as well as Social Security and overtime pay. And he also expects the president to address national security threats like Iran and ongoing tensions abroad. Congressman Mast says that beyond the policy announcement tonight is really about remembering those who serve, from troops overseas to first responders here at home, and to ensure their legacy lives on. Liz.
And Ms. Waller, I want to say thank you for being here today. I am so sorry for your loss. I want to start with what it means to be standing with Congressman Brian Mast ahead of tonight's State of the Union. And I understand there's some recognition that will be given towards you and your husband.
It's overwhelming. I'm super grateful that somebody took the time to think about law enforcement and remember them in a way that they've never been recognized before. It's a great honor, and yeah. I'm just very grateful and blessed to be here.
And, and being recognized by the president more than once at this point, he obviously has a very fond love and admiration for law enforcement and what your husband did in our community, the community that our president lives in half the year. What does that mean to you on a personal level?
On a personal level, the president of the United States has a very important job. It's to take care of the country, to do all of the really great things that he's trying to do. And in the midst of that, recognizing law enforcement, it just speaks to my heart. It speaks to all the families of law enforcement, and eternally grateful for that.
Thank you so much. Now, Congressman, you're standing with Mrs. Waller here. What does it mean to you? I know you are a huge advocate for our law enforcement, and you were part of our armed forces at one point. What does it mean to be standing next to her today?
I'm just very glad that she joined us, and give her a hug. So very glad that she came to join us. I think any of us that have gone through loss, and she's gone through loss differently than I have, there's not a specific time that the emotions subside, that they come to an end, that you stop feeling pain. And so I think the more that you can have opportunities to talk about what happened and remember, because that's what Memorial is all about. That's how you keep people living on, is to continually remember them. I think that's what makes it very special for me, that we can be together and remember her husband and remember his friends and make them continue to live on in the lives of people in our community, in her family, which obviously will never come to an end. And I guess to maybe bring it back to the president in that part as well, that's a commitment that he has. It was at the memorial service for her husband that we decided, there should be a medal that doesn't exist, that goes from the hand of the president to posthumously those that were killed in the line of duty as law enforcement and firefighters, and that didn't exist as an idea at all, but it's for the goal of saying we never forget and we learn, and we'll make sure that they live on forever. And so I'm very glad to have her here.
That was a great answer. Now, Congressman, I want to pivot just a little bit to the State of the Union, obviously later tonight. What are you hoping to see from the president this year?
I think what he will deliver is both what I hope for and what he anticipates speaking about. I think there'll be a lot of speak about the positives that he's brought economically, what he's done in signing the big, beautiful bill and, eliminating taxes on tips and Social Security and overtime and a host of other things. Those are really big deals to everybody that I know. If you say, hey, you know what, you're not getting taxed on $25,000 of the tips that you get as a hairdresser or an Uber driver or a bartender or wait staff or something else, that's a big deal, and it's big minimized. And I think there'll be a lot of conversation about the big economic benefits that have gone on for everybody across the board and where America is not being taken advantage of. And I think he's going to talk about his frustrations as well. His frustrations about not funding Homeland Security against, just allowing our borders to be overrun and then dispersing people across the country that have been overrun, about not working with our law enforcement across the country, just different places that I think Americans should be frustrated. I think you're going to hear both from him, both the praise for what's been done and the very real frustrations that he has on things that should be common sense for just advancing America forward for Americans.
And of course, I want to get your unique perspective since you have served our country before. The big talks that are happening right now are what's going on in Iran. We've deployed, some military aircraft near there as those talks continue. It's obviously a very sensitive information. What input can you provide in these terms of this conversation? And are we closer to a military conflict or a more diplomatic solution by positioning more troops there?
Well, let's start and say, who is Iran? Iran is, people always say, the largest state sponsor of terror, but they are quite literally responsible for killing hundreds, if not thousands, of Americans, even in the last couple of years. 3 American service members killed at a place called Tower 22 by the hand of Iran while they were in Jordan. And so this is ongoing, imminent threat. And that threat is something that they want to elevate to being a nuclear capability threat. And that's something that the United States of America is saying, no, we're not going to allow this. You work to kill us constantly. You fly drones at our Navy vessels. You fly drones at our merchant marine fleets and all these other ways that you try to kill us. We're not going to give you a gun, much less a nuclear weapon. So what you have taking place now, of course, you have diplomacy. You have Jared Kushner and Steve Witkoff conducting negotiations in Geneva with Iran. And I think that diplomacy, the opportunity to bring this to an end diplomatically, will end at some point, and the other option will be destruction. And destruction is something that's being put in place right now. You have the largest armada that America has ever set sail anywhere. The Ford Carrier Group and the Lincoln Carrier Group both headed into the Middle East and preparing to deliver their capabilities. And that's what Peace Through Strength is about. Both of those things have to go hand in hand. You don't have the capability to negotiate with Iran, but for the strength that is being brought into the region and the demonstration that we're willing to use that strength to obliterate their nuclear infrastructure, like what we did before with that joint operation between Israel and the United States, which destroyed that underground nuclear facility known as Fordo and a number of other things. So those two things go hand in hand. And, many people saying, well, we don't want to see this military option, but you can't do one without the other.
Alrighty, and this will be my last question. I know you're pressed for time. Also, you know, we're deeply involved with Venezuela. We've got their political and economic future sort of in our hands right now after we captured Nicolas Maduro. What guardrails do you think that should be in place as we move forward and we make those negotiations and hopefully return Venezuela to away from dictatorship?
And you know, that's the goal, is what's taking place with Venezuela. Free, fair elections, a new future for the Venezuelan people. And that's what was given to them, was the opportunity to harness a new future. And this is important as we talk about Iran as well, because this term triggers, right? There are specific triggers for America that have to take place in order for an operation to be conducted. And those triggers existed for Venezuela. The number one trigger being tomorrow is a better day. Not we moved backwards in some way, but the very next day after capturing Nicolas Maduro and his wife is a better day for the Venezuelan people. The guardrails that will be put in place is, I think that maybe sometime close to the end of this year, maybe shortly thereafter, there will be those free and fair elections for the Venezuelan people. Guardrails that have already been put in place that are being adhered to as we speak. All of their goods, what used to be oil that would come out of their country, go on illegal Russian vessels, and then go in a black market to being sold to countries like China. That doesn't exist anymore. Everything that they bring to market now comes to the legitimate markets, benefits the Venezuelan people in a way that it wasn't benefiting them before. So already these guardrails that we wanted to see put in place are already being executed.
Awesome. Thank you, Congressman, for your time. Mrs. Waller, thank you so much. And thank you to your husband for his service. I was there for that memorial and it was beautiful. We're thinking of you here at CBS 12. All righty. Take care, everyone.